Cast your mind back, Barjo, to a game called Bayonetta. We didn't give it a full review, but we covered it briefly with some other games that we'd been playing over the Christmas break.
Yes. The wacky, fast-action beat-em-up featuring a magical witch whose body is clothed in hair.
Guns strapped to her heels, guns in her hands, and phenomenal powers that involve using her hair outfit to transform into impressive magical attacks. One of my most standout memories, though, was how well acquainted we became with Bayonetta's crotch.
It was shameless, wasn't it? And while the game was quite a hit, it came under fire for being highly exploitative.
Well, it seems developer Platinum Games has no intention of lessening the powerful impact of Bayonetta's vagina, for when we loaded up the sequel, Bayonetta 2, we were met with yet another merry montage of objectification.
Now it's time to be moved.
She's not an unlikable character by any means, it's just all those full-on camera zooms into all of her body parts is just a bit full-on.
Yeah, it's a bit in your face, isn't it? It's kind of like one of those late-night phone sex ads, but then nothing is subtle in Bayonetta 2. The cutscenes are huge, over-the-top, and epic, while the fights are cluttered, chaotic, and frenzied. Spent half my time wildly hitting buttons, yelling, "What is happening?"
You gotta admit, it is captivating though, isn't it? It is relentless in its large-scale set pieces, and the combat is a whirlwind of complex, super stylish animations. To brush you up on the story, Bayonetta, or Cereza as she is truly known, is an Umbra witch, an overseer of darkness, who often finds herself caught up in an ongoing battle between heaven and hell.
You always know how to make an entrance, John.
After recovering from the amnesia she suffered in the last game, and befriending her former rival witch Jeanne, Bayonetta's Christmas shopping is rudely interrupted when a group of angels attack the city. With some demonic help, they show the angels who's boss. But messing with demons is risky business. Things go awry, and Jeanne's soul is dragged into hell.
That tired old amnesia trope from the last game really needed a lift, so I'm glad they've gone with a bit of plot and character development in this sequel.
Yeah, there needs to be a ban on all amnesia-related plot devices in video games going forward, I think.
I agree. So now Bayonetta must set out to save Jeanne's soul from eternal fiery torment. Flipping, whirling, and cartwheeling her way through the gates of hell with bullets flying from every limb.
Combat in Bayonetta is all about long, complex combos. And while you can absolutely approach this game in complete seriousness and learn every detailed string of attacks and master those fight mechanics like a pro, for the less experienced fighters, this is one of the most mash-friendly games out there.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there is a game in existence that has the ability to make you feel like you are this awesome without the requirement of skill. And that's all in where you choose to set your difficulty. Bayonetta's first, second, or third climax. Well, that's what it's called.
Questionable terminology aside, I think this is where the game should actually be applauded for making the combat so effortlessly free-flowing regardless of your skill level. It's just so easy to pull off complicated combos with fast button taps while whizzing about between flips and dodges.
A perfectly timed dodge will also reward you with a few seconds of witch time, which slows everything down and lets you execute a few extra moves. And there are lots of ways the combat becomes bigger and brassier as you progress. I strapped swords to her heels in addition to the guns, which is totally impractical in theory, but I love that it let me do that.
The torture attacks work well. Brutal but satisfying moments of enemy punishment.
Yeah, those are great. I think my favourite move though was one that I purchased, where she breakdances while spraying bullets and then strikes a totes casual pose at the end. I also like how she can pick up and use the weapons of a fallen foe for a short time. It's a nice extra reward for downing a tough enemy.
Yeah, there are some interesting transformation attacks to choose from, and even though the more powerful her attacks are, the more naked she becomes, her large-scale demonic hair formations are as impressive as ever. Often you'll be caught up in a battle while her hair demon faces off with some giant foe behind you in the background.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? I often found it a bit difficult, though, to keep track of where I was and what I was doing with all the chaos that's going on screen, particularly in those frantic aerial fights.
Yeah, it gets pretty messy. sort of forgive it because this game is a fast-paced frenzy from start to finish that seeks to only outdo its previous fight sequence with even crazier theatrics, but it does get a little exhausting.
Yeah, retaining your sanity within a battle relies heavily on your ability to avoid damage. Because while you can spam and mash easily enough on first climax without death, you'll struggle in the tougher difficulties and earn a pretty miserable score if you're hit too often as well.
Yes, in Bayonetta, you want to pound as much fancy damage into your enemies as possible. But your agility and well-timed dodges will be rewarded, and in third climax, it's a necessity.
We should mention that Bayonetta 2 is currently a Wii U exclusive, so for the sake of experiment, I decided to test out the option to use the stylus for like a good half of this game. It basically involves a whole lot of tapping to attack and then swipes to dodge.
I can't imagine that's the most satisfying way to play this game.
No, it wasn't. And while movement through the game's areas mostly worked okay, you can tap to jump and swipe to transform into fast-moving creatures as you travel, for example, often your flow would be broken to trigger certain movements that you'd normally transition through with regular button jumping.
Yes, I don't think the stylus will be the choice of fighters in the future.
No. One thing I will say for it though is when I started to get RSI from all the tapping, I did opt for just madly scribbling over the enemy. You know, like when you have a photo of someone you don't like and you just want to like scratch their face out.
No, I don't know that, but okay.
Well, it's kind of satisfying in that way. Like, die, enemy, die. You cannot be my friend anymore. I did find dodging pretty messy though. It could just be hard to time with the stylus to activate which time.
All in all, this is an improvement on the first Bayonetta. It's somehow bigger and crazier, and the story has evolved nicely.
You will return what is rightfully mine. What I should never have lost. The eye.
Although the dialogue is pretty painful at times, especially with this guy who's really keen to get to a place called Fimbulventer.
No time! I have to get to Fimbulventer! Fimbulventer, 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 Fimbulventer!
Fimbulventer?
Fimbulventer.
Fimbulventer can wait for now.
You know, I found as much as my eyes just love drinking in all of this stylized action, no matter how you choose to play, it still gets repetitive. I mean, hey, it's a different way to fight. It's not the calculated, methodical combat we applauded in the likes of Shadow of Mordor. This game's frenetic approach permeates every aspect of its design, from the combat to the action to the story.
It's a bit like a sugar high. I have a great time for a while, but it's a superficial rush, and I come crashing down hard and fast. And this is never going to be a game that I can truly champion, considering all those sweeping crotch shots. I can't be expected to take this seriously.
Yeah, and really every time you try to convince yourself that this is okay, just replace the image with a dude. I mean, can you honestly say you'd feel the same way about some guy's spread-eagled ballsack flying at you from all directions? It's just stupid. Get that image out of your head.
Bingo.
And it sucks because Bayonetta's core characterization is actually that of a pretty strong and powerful woman, and all of that kind of cheapens what is actually a really cool experience, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. What are you giving it overall, Hex?
Well, I had fun and I think it's really clever the way they've balanced the difficulty, but I was let down by a lot as well, so I'm going to give it 7.5.
I'm going to give it 7.
This is why I never buy anything on sale.